Some encounters feel like chance, but in truth, they're destiny. Some people step into our lives only to show us that we never truly knew ourselves. Ethan Gray was 42, a brilliant CFO living on the 52nd floor of a glittering glass tower in New York City. On the outside, his life looked perfect. Power, wealth, the city skyline at his feet. But inside, Ethan was drowning in guilt. 3 years earlier, his wife had died in a terrible accident. His daughter, Mia, only 12, at the time survived, but she lost the ability to walk. Ethan did everything a desperate father could. He hired the best doctors, bought the newest medical technology, spent millions searching for hope, but nothing worked. Every night, he heard Mia crying softly in her room. And it broke him a little more than one spring afternoon. Something unexpected happened in a small park near their building. Ethan noticed Mia staring at a group of disabled children. They were practicing dance, moving clumsily but joyfully, guided by a strange young woman. That woman was different. Her eyes seemed to glow with life, her energy so vibrant it lifted everyone around her. When their eyes met, she walked straight to Ethan, and in a voice calm but filled with certainty, she whispered, "If you trust me, I can make her walk again. But you must not ask too many questions." Her name was Layla Brooks. That encounter, simple as it seemed, would change everything because Ethan had no idea. This mysterious woman carried a secret powerful enough to heal his daughter and to shatter his entire world. The first session didn't look like therapy at all. No medical machines, no expensive equipment, just Ethan's living room, a soft carpet and a small speaker. Layla set it on the floor, pressed play, and let the sound of gentle jazz fill the air. "Close your eyes, Mia," she whispered softly. "Don't think about your legs. Just feel the rhythm." Mia obeyed, her eyes shut. Her tiny hands curled on her lap. Layla placed her palm gently on Mia's foot, tapping lightly to the beat. It wasn't a doctor's technique. It felt more like waking something that had been asleep for years. And then something impossible happened on that very first day. One of Mia's toes twitched. Ethan froze. He thought it was a trick of his tired eyes. But it was real. On the third day, Mia's foot lifted just an inch, trembling but alive. On the fifth day, Ethan stood in shock, his heart pounding as Mia slowly rose to her feet. For the first time in 3 years, she was standing. Tears streamed down Ethan's face, but he couldn't even move. He just watched, hands trembling, as if afraid the moment might break if he breathed too loudly. That night, Mia whispered to him, "Dad, I feel like I'm alive again." From then on, Layla came every evening. No matter the weather, no matter how tired she always returned with that same mysterious energy that filled the room with warmth day by day. Mia's laughter returned, and with it, Ethan's smile. For the first time since the accident, hope flickered inside his chest. But one night, fate intervened again, while reaching under Mia's bed to grab a fallen towel. Ethan's hand brushed against something hidden deep in the corner. A faded envelope. Inside an old photograph, it showed a little brown-skinned girl, maybe 8 years old, hugging a worn-out teddy bear. And beside her stood a younger Ethan Gray, his arm around a beautiful woman he once loved, Marissa Brooks. Ethan's heart stopped. His breath caught in his throat. Layla, who was she? The next evening, Ethan waited at the door. His pulse raced, the photograph trembling in his hand. When Layla stepped inside, he didn't smile. He didn't say a word. He simply held up the photo. "Who are you?" His voice cracked. Layla froze. For a moment, her confident energy seemed to vanish. Silence hung heavy between them. Finally, she exhaled, her voice barely a whisper. "I am your daughter." The words hit Ethan like a blow. His knees nearly gave out. 2 decades of memories came rushing back. 20 years ago, before the skyscrapers and the corner office, there had been Marissa, gifted, free-spirited painter. Ethan had loved her with everything he had. His wealthy family despised her. It's just she didn't fit their world of power and prestige. And Ethan, too afraid to defy them, walked away. Marissa left without a word. She disappeared. Now Ethan understood why she had been carrying his child. That child was Layla. Ethan's voice shook. Why didn't you tell me? Why now? Layla's eyes glistened, but her voice was steady. I didn't come here looking for a father. I came to save my sister. The word sister hit Ethan harder than anything else. The woman who had given Mia her first steps was her half-sister, but the truth cut even deeper. Layla had come not just with love, but with a secret far more painful. She was sick, very sick, aplastic anemia, a rare bone marrow disease. Her time was running out. She hadn't come to Ethan for help. She hadn't come for money. She came only to give whatever strength she had left to Mia. Ethan's chest tightened. He wanted to scream, to collapse, to beg for forgiveness. But all he could do was stare at Layla. Realizing the miracle in his daughter's life was born from the very past he had. Abandoned. And soon that past would demand a price. Asterisk. Ethan wanted to tell Mia the truth. The words burned on his tongue every night. But Layla stopped him. Please, she whispered, her eyes pleading. Let her focus on walking. Don't let her see the cracks in our world, not yet. Ethan agreed. For a while, their fragile secret remained safe. But secrets have a way of surfacing. And when they do, they erupt. One restless night, a journalist digging into medical malpractice uncovered Layla's hospital records, her condition, her last name, her past. He connected the dots between Ethan Gray, Marissa Brooks, and Layla within days. The story exploded across national headlines. Billionaire CFO hides secret daughter for 20 years. The tabloids feasted on the scandal. News anchors debated his morality. Gray Enterprises stock collapsed. The board demanded Ethan's resignation. Overnight, the empire he had built crumbled. But the worst blow came not from the press, but from Mia. One evening, Ethan found her in her room, tears streaming down her cheeks. She held up her phone, an article glowing on the screen. Her voice shook. Dad, Layla's my sister. You lied to me? Her words pierced deeper than any headline. From that moment, Mia refused therapy. She shut herself away, her fragile hope turning into anger, and Layla guilt consumed her. She packed her things and prepared to leave New York, believing her presence had only destroyed the family she had come to heal. But fate had one more twist. The morning she planned to leave, Mia stood at the top of the staircase. Her legs trembled violently. But this time she didn't stop. One step, then another, and another, until she reached Layla, throwing her arms around her sister. Mia sobbed. You're not just my therapist, you're my family. In that moment, the cracks in their world didn't matter. Not the headlines, not the scandal, not the shame. For the first time, they were a family bound not by secrets, but by love. But love, as powerful as it is, cannot erase time. Layla's condition grew worse. Her face paled, her energy drained. Some days she could barely stand. Ethan rushed from hospital to hospital, searching for answers, for hope, for a miracle. But there was only one, a bone marrow transplant. The doctors tested every possible donor, friends, relatives, registries across the country. None were a perfect match, except one, Mia. Ethan's heart nearly collapsed under the weight of the choice. His daughter had only just begun to walk again. Could her fragile body endure such a dangerous procedure? But Mia didn't hesitate. Eyes full of the same courage her mother once carried. Met her father's. If Layla could give me the chance to stand again, she whispered, then I can give her the chance to live. The surgery lasted 8 endless hours. Ethan sat outside the operating room, his hands clutching his late wife's necklace so tightly it left marks on his palms. He prayed silently, every second dragging like an eternity. Finally, The doors opened. The doctor, exhausted but smiling, delivered the words Ethan had been desperate to hear. The transplant was a success. Ethan collapsed into a chair. Tears of relief streaming down his face, but the journey wasn't over. Layla faced months of painful recovery, weakness, fever, nights when she could barely breathe, and through it all, Ethan was there. For the first time in his life, he set aside business, wealth, reputation. None of it mattered anymore. Every ounce of his energy went to his daughters. He cooked for them. He read to them, stayed by their side through laughter and tears, through hospital corridors and long sleepless nights. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, they became what they had never been before, a family. 2 years later, the shadows of the past had lifted. Layla survived, stronger than ever. Her laughter filled rooms that once echoed with silence. Beside her, Mia walked with confidence, her steps steady, her smile brighter than the New York skyline. And Ethan, once a man defined by guilt, had found something far greater than success. Together, they founded the Second Step Foundation. Its mission was simple yet powerful: to give hope to disabled children, to help them take their own first steps. Just as Mia once had, at their annual charity gala, a hush fell across the grand hall. The lights dimmed, and Mia, no longer the fragile girl in a wheelchair, but a young woman full of courage, walked gracefully onto the stage. The audience rose to their feet, thunderstruck. Cameras flashed, but Mia's voice cut through the noise, clear, steady, and filled with truth. Layla taught me that love can heal what science cannot. And Dad taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about the people who never give up on you. The room erupted into applause. Tears flowed freely, strangers, donors, even hardened executives wiping their eyes. On stage, Ethan stood between his daughters, holding their hands. Layla on one side, Mia on the other. The three of them, finally whole. The spotlight bathed them in golden light, as if the universe itself was blessing the moment. The footsteps that were once lost in the shadows now walked forward together. Stronger, brighter, unstoppable. A family reborn not by perfection, not by wealth, not by destiny, but by love. And that love would carry them into the light. If this story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Stories like Ethan, Mia, and Layla's remind us that life is fragile, yet powerful. They remind us that even when the world feels heavy with loss, love has the strength to lift us higher than we ever thought possible. But sometimes, in the chaos of our daily lives, we forget that. We forget to pause. We forget to breathe. We forget to believe. That's why stories matter. Because stories are not just words. They are mirrors reflecting pieces of ourselves we've lost, and lights guiding us back to what we need to remember. So, if this story moved you, if it made you cry, or if it made you feel something you haven't felt in a long time, take a moment to share it. Share it with someone who is hurting. Share it with someone who feels alone. Share it with someone who needs to know that miracles do exist. When you click like, you're not just supporting a video. You're helping this story reach another soul who may be sitting in silence tonight, waiting for a sign that they are not forgotten. When you subscribe, you're not just following a channel. You're joining a family, a community of people who believe in the power of real emotional stories. Stories that make us laugh. Stories that make us cry. Stories that remind us of what truly matters. And when you comment, when you share your own thoughts, your own experiences, you're giving someone else the courage to open their heart. This channel, Real Moments, was built for that very reason, to remind us that no matter how dark life feels, there is always a light. That love can heal wounds. Science cannot. That family is not defined by blood, but by those who never stop fighting for us. So don't let this moment fade. Carry it with you. Pass it on. Let this story be the first step for you, for someone you love, for anyone who needs hope tonight, because every step we take together becomes a footprint in the light.